Hi, Gary Chillingworth here. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on my last videos with names for the series. We had some great ideas, but in the end we decided for going for Life at the Range. Now there were many different reasons that we went for Life at the Range, but the main one was that's the only one where I could actually purchase the web address. Because what we're going to do is we've now got a website, www.lifeattherange.com. So go there to see all the videos. We're still going to be putting them all up on Shooting and Country TV and obviously through Airgunner. But if you want to see any of the stuff we're putting out, or I'm putting out specifically, go to lifeattherange.com. Now, what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at air tanks. Now, in the recent Airgunner magazine in June 2021, Richard Nash wrote a brilliant article all about compressors, air tanks and pumps. This is a video that we always plan to do, but if you want to read about them, I suggest you go and read Richard's article because it is superb. Now, this idea come from one of our readers, or one of our viewers, sorry, Marco 900, who asked me how many fills do you get from a tank and how do you fill a rifle correctly? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different types of tanks, different type of guns, and how we fill properly. So that's what we're going to do today. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, this is a scuba tank. This is what you would put on your back if you wanted to go deep sea diving, but this is slightly different. As you can see on the top here, there is nowhere to attach a scuba regulator because this is a surface bottle, not a diving bottle. Now, the beauty of having a surface bottle over a diving bottle is a surface bottle only has to be tested every 5 years. A diving bottle has to be tested every 2.5 years. Now, when you test a bottle, if you come in, Jacob, you will see on here, we have this here. Now, this says that this tank is good up until November 2019. So when I want to have this refilled at a dive shop, they won't refill it. They will have to test it first, which costs around about £35. That's because they test the structural integrity. They do that by forcing high pressure water into it to make sure that the bottle is safe. Now, this is a 12 litre 300 bar bottle. This is what you want for shooting, or predominantly you need a 300 bar. You can get 12 litres, 10 litres, 7 litres, or we have one here. This is a 3 litre. Now, we're going to go into this a little bit more in a minute, but to give you a rough idea, this is a 12 litre 300 bar bottle. Now, if I'm shooting an S400 Classic, 12 litres, I will be able to fill my rifle 93 times from this bottle. If I fill it up to 180 bar and then refill it at 110. If I use a 232, that's only 40 times. With a 7 litre, it'll be 54 with the 300 and 23 with the 232. With a 3 litre, it's 23 times with a 300 bar and only 10 times with a 232. So you can see having 300 bar is a considerable advantage to 232. Now, when you want to fill, you have this, which is obviously the gauge. Then you have this section, which is called the whip. And then you have this piece here. If you come in a bit closer, Jacob, this is the fast fit connector. Now, some rifles, like the Day State and the Gun Power, this fits directly onto the rifle. However, if you have an Air Arms, which is the standard brass connector, you can get this, which is a fast fill adapter or quick adapter. And then they just click in and they go like that. And then if you've got something like a Viroc or a BSA, you can take your Air Arms one off and you can just click don't drop that on the floor, and you can click your Viroc or your BSA in. So having a fast fill adapter is a huge advantage. So now we're going to show you how we fill a rifle. Okay, so we want to fill a rifle. Now, this is my HW100 KT, absolutely lovely rifle. In fact, I've had a few people ask me about this hamster on the bottom. This was actually 3D printed by Bob Pattenden. He does lovely stuff. Okay, so we want to fill the rifle. This rifle is currently at 110 bar. so it needs to be filled. So the first thing we do before we start filling is we need to make sure that the rifle isn't loaded. So we cock, we check to make sure the breech is empty, but you never know, there might be a pellet in the barrel or down the barrel. So we just dry fire off, which is perfectly safe to do with the PCP, but you never do with a Springer. And now it's time to fill. So the first thing we do is remove the bung. Put that somewhere safe because I always seem to lose them. You insert the probe. But if you come in close, Jacob, as you can see, we're a little bit cack-handed because we're a little bit high today. So we've inserted the probe. This is the valve, the release valve. So we close that nice and tight, and then we start to fill. Now, as you can see, it popped up, and now it's just going down. We also check on the front, if you can see here, Jacob, on here. Now, we have the gauge on the tank and we have the gauge on the rifle. I personally always use the gauge on the rifle, not the gauge on the tank. These are more accurate than these. So once we're filled, we need to release the pressure in the line. So that's closed. The rifle is where we want it to be. So we now just release. And that releases all the compressed air that's within the line. We remove the probe. Reinsert the bung. And I always like to, certainly with a regulated rifle, fire one off. So now we have a nicely charged HW100, which is sitting lovely at 180 bar, ready to go out and have some fun. Next, we're going to have a look at filling the cylinder directly from the bottle. Okay, some rifles like the Steyr LG110s, the Walthers, actually the Virarcs as well, and certainly this, the Hammerly AR20, actually have a detachable cylinder. Cylinder comes out, we put the rifle down, we've checked to make sure that it's unloaded. And what you can do from here is you can either screw via a whip into there, but Jacob, if you come in close, some rifles, manufacturers, give you a hard adapter which goes straight into the bottle, so you don't need a whip. Now this whip needs to be replaced because, as you can see, there is some small damage to it. Now this is just the outer core, but even though the outer core is broken, we're still going to replace it. So what you'll get is this. Now this is just a standard hard adapter with an O-ring on the bottom. This screws into the bottle. Just nip it up and you take your cylinder. What you must do is you must remember to close the valve, and then you can fill directly from the tank. And as you'll see, this is gradually going up, although there isn't very much air in this cylinder, it needs to be recharged. But as you can see from here, we've gone from 70 and it's going up nice and slowly. And I think we've only got about 120 bar within this cylinder, but it's just for a demonstration. So then once this is finished, you shut off. Now with these, you do not vent from here, because if I open this, all this air is just going to disappear. You just unscrew and screw back into the rifle. Now Jacob, if you come to me. Now, having a detachable cylinder, this one is made out of steel. You can actually buy an aluminium version or a titanium version. You can buy different versions of these cylinders for Steyrs, Hammerleys, or whatever. Now the great thing about this is, instead of lugging one of these to a shoot, or one of the big 12 litres, you can buy an extra cylinder, so that when you turn up at your shoot, you can go on the plinking range, deplete your main cylinder, unscrew it, and then screw a new cylinder in, and you're ready for the competition. So having a rifle with a detachable cylinder is an absolute advantage. I like those rifles, well, I like spring rifles, but it is a really good thing to do. So that's your cylinder, how to fill directly. Okay, now some of you will recognise this as being a PCP air pump. Now, to a certain degree, these are great because they give you an unlimited supply of air. You don't have to rely on a scuba shop to fill up your air tanks. You don't need to get them tested. You just plug them into your air rifle and you pump away. So absolutely superb. Couple of downsides. Number one, these will take obviously air straight out the atmosphere and put it in your rifle. Well, the air that we've got around us has got moisture in it. So if you have a rifle with a steel cylinder, you are putting very, very small amounts of moisture into that cylinder. And over the years, it can have an effect. You can buy these with dry packs, which will take all the moisture out, but they need to be replaced on a regular basis. I personally would buy one with a dry pack if I was going to have one. Now, the other issue is, I'm not going to demonstrate how to use this today because I've got a torn meniscus in my left knee. And the amount of effort it takes to use a pump, to pump up a rifle from 110 bar to 180, 190 bar is considerable. It is not something that I would ask a child to do. It takes a lot of effort and it leaves you out of breath. It might be fine for you, but before you buy a pump, I would strongly recommend you find someone who's got one and give it a try. Now, again, the advantage with a cylinder is if you get it filled from a scuba shop, the air will be dry and clean. To fill up a 12 litre 300 bar, my local scuba centre charges me £10. If I bring in a 3 litre, they charge me £10. Now, one other thing to mention is they will say it's a 300 bar fill. In reality, you're never going to get 300 bar because as they fill, it creates heat, the cylinder expands, and when it contracts, you lose some of the air. So you might get 290 bar. So just be aware of that. So basically, pumps are good, but they will put moisture in your rifle unless you've got an air pack. That is a big old cylinder, the 12 litre. They're heavy, they're awkward to carry around. You can get carbon cylinders, which are much lighter, but they've got a lifespan. And the 3 litres are light and convenient, but they don't have that many fills. So what a lot of shooters do is they have a 12 litre and a 3 litre, and they decant air from one to another when they go along to a shoot. The pumps, just like the air tanks, have got your standard quick fitting. So that's absolutely easy. And that is pretty much it for pumps. Okay, one of the questions I did get asked by Marco 900 is how many fills do you get from a tank? Now, we briefly looked into this, but the biggest problem is how do you work out rifle per rifle? Some rifles have got smaller cylinders, some have got larger. Some rifles you fill to 200 bar, some rifles you fill to 180. Some need refilling at 100, some at 110. So they're all different. So to give you just a rough idea, if we look at the Air Arms S400, that has got a 216cc cylinder. So if you charge it to 180 and you go down to 110, oh, by the way, that's actually the same as the Steyr. That has a 206cc cylinder, but it's pretty much the same. For a 3 litre, 10 with a 232, 23 with a 300. 7 litre, 23 with a 232, 54 with a 300. And 12 litre, 40 with a 232 and 93 with a 300. Hopefully the numbers are coming up on my left hand side if the editor gods are with me. For an HW100, which is also the same as a BSA Ultra, a 232, because that's got a 172cc cylinder, a 232 with a 3 litre is 12 and 29 with a 300. A 7 litre will give you 29 fills with a 232, 67 with a 300, and with a 12 litre, 50 with a 232 and 116 fills with a 300. And finally, we'll go on to the S400 carbine, which is one of the most popular rifles out there, which has got a 156cc cylinder, so nice and small. With a 3 litre in a 232, that will give you 13, and with a 300, 31. With a 7 litre, 32, with a 232, and 74 with a 300, and with a 12 litre, 55 with a 232, and 127 with a 12 litre. So that's roughly how many fills you'll get. If you stay to the end of the video, I will show you how to use an absolutely superb piece of software, which is free to own, and that will show you, you just put in your particular rifle's CC and your tank size, and that will tell you how many fills you'll get. But there is obviously one very easy way where you can negate all of this. Buy yourself a Springer. You know it makes sense. Okay, so thanks so much for coming and watching today. It's been very much appreciated. As we said, if you go to www.lifeattherange.com, you'll be able to see all the videos that I create and some of the articles that I write for Airgunner. But please, in the comments below, tell me what you want me to look at. The whole point of doing this series, because we're now doing it as a vlog series, is I want you to contact me and say, Gary, tell me about XYZ. And then I will try and film a response using all the bits and pieces that we've got and the range that we've got here, and I'll be able to answer you via a video. If I don't know the answer to it, I will find out, and I'm going to try and bring in some of my friends and people who know way more about shooting than me, and we're trying to get a community together. So if you could do me a favour, put in the comments below what you'd like me to look at. If you could share this video with people that you want to see, subscribe to Shooting and Country TV will prevent my legs getting broken from Emily, our video editor, who's reminded me to tell everyone to subscribe, and I'm very scared of her, so I must do that. And if you could do those 3 things for me, they'd be very much appreciated. So let me know what you want, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you. Many of you will recognise this piece of software instantly as Chairgun from Deep & Hawk. This free piece of software can be downloaded from the Deep & website, and I strongly recommend all shooters to have it on their computer. It can not only help you out with your range card, it can help you work out with elevated shots and how much your pellets will move in the wind. But there's also another section of the software that not everybody knows about. If you go up to the top, to the section that says Toolbox, you click on that, and then you go down to Calculate and Calibrate, move over, and down to the bottom you have PCP Fill, and here we have. So here we have a 3 litre tank that's filled up to 300 bar. The volume of our cylinder, which is an Air Arms S400, is 216 cc. We want to fill it to a maximum of 180 bar, and then we'll refill it when it gets to 110, and we get 23 charges from the cylinder. If we've got a 7 litre, we go up here to where it says volume litre, we change that to 7.0, and we now get 54 charges. With a 12 litre, we now get 93 charges. And if we have a 232, we get 40 charges. A really simple piece of programming to use. It's free to download, and it will give you a rough idea of how many fills you will get from the cylinder that you own. Strongly recommend.